Well, hello, all my wonderful, beautiful broskies of the wonderful, beautiful Maverick Nation, and it is now. Basically, I am the Dark Shadow Nation. I am the Dark Shadow Maverick, and it is now time for part two of SNOWSET. If you guys don't know what SNOWSET is, it basically says it in the title. It's my AU, but it is also a what if. Mm, you know, it's my alternate universe thing, but it's also a what if. Like, I'm doing it in a what if sort of type of format. I'm kind of like expressing the AU in that sort of formatting. And this is part two of SNOWSET. Yes, basically, we start part two off. It has been 3 years since the human, well, the other human was found by Sans and taken in to be a member of their family. And seeing as whenever Sans first found them, they were 3 years, 2 plus 3, everybody, like, at least people with, like, some education in math, which I have some education in math, would know that that's 5. So, they are now 5 years of age. The other human that they decided to call Chara. And just like what's going to happen after 3 years of the human being, like the 2-year old human being in the underground for 3 years, making them 5. Well, first of all, we would probably start off with the aftermath of their 5th birthday. Also, Pyrus also likes to have it be known as the 3-year anniversary of, like, the human being a part of their family. But he also lets it be known that it also considered their 5th birthday, because birthdays are more of a thing than like an anniversary of. It's just Papyrus is very specific, and he's very driven. He'd be like the Overmatch of the underground. Anyways, basically, Sans and Papyrus, you know, things have been going mostly good with them. And so eventually, Sans does actually get up enough money, because Sans realizes the kid's 5 by now. Like, by now, they probably want some sort of, like, like, no, like, they don't want to be stuck to their dad's room for all eternity. Like, Sans is, like, thinking that. And he's also thinking that he can understand that. But that's mostly because he never really liked his dad all that much. Gaster. And with the whole thought process of the kid, Chara wanting to probably have their own room, what was discussed before, like a total of 3 years ago, and has been discussed like several times since. like afterwards, in between Sans and Papyrus, that, the human Chara, they just seem to even more and more want to like not be stuck there, because it's obvious to pretty much both Chara and Papyrus by now, and it's been obvious to Sans because it's his thinking process that he is not going to go for the whole bed. He is just fine with a mattress on the floor. He does not give any shits whenever it comes to that. And so eventually, Sans and Papyrus do, you know, get some things sorted out. And it's basically like they have Chara blindfolded, and Chara's like, uh, mm, Pap, Dad, can I go now? And Sans is like, yeah, but remember, Chara, no unblindfolding until we say. And Pap is like, Sans, you're making this seem a lot worse than it actually is. The way you're pronouncing your things. And Sans is just like, yeah, well, he's just like, I was like, whatever. And so eventually they do all get into the room, which before was just the room with the blueprints and the machine. But now it's been all re renovated to be their own room. And basically, whenever Sans takes the blindfold off, it's just like, voila, ta da! Like, he's like, voila! And Papyrus is like, you were supposed to say ta da! And Chara's just like, oh my god! It's like, Dad, Pap, uh, 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 did you really do all of this? And Sans is like, well, yeah, of course. That's just how much we care about you. And, Papyrus is just like, yes, indeed, that is so. Wait, I believe I'm getting a call. Hmm. And Sans is like, why wouldn't they just call, like, the landline phone? And, like Sans is like, why wouldn't they just call the landline phone? Why do they have to specifically call Papyrus' cell phone? And Papyrus left his cell phone in his room. That's what he says. So he goes all the way up to his room to fetch his cell phone to talk to this person. Like, Papyrus, like, the walls aren't really that thick in their house. So plus the volume on Papyrus' cell phone is like freaking is not like turned down at all, because Papyrus never really needs to do that, because he never needs to worry about saving battery, because he always remembers to have the cell phone whenever he's not using it on the charger. So basically he could hear it from there, and so he just goes up there. Hello? No. Oh, welcome. And so Papyrus is doing that, Sans is like just looking at Char's reaction to everything. And Char is just like plops on the bed. Yep. Basically, like, the kid is just like flops on the bed and is like, "This is the best. Thank you guys so much. I love you so much." And then Chara finally realizes, wait, Uncle Pap is not in the room. Like, and Santa's like, "Oh, he had to go uh some message on his," and Papyrus is like, Sans, it's a code undying." And like Santa's like, what? Uh, 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 kid, why don't you just stay in your room for a while, taking all the scenery, and not come out till we say, okay? Uh, we, uh, we have something that we gotta take care of, like some business we gotta take care of. You know, the thing with like, we have our own like things that we gotta do. Business. And Papyrus is like, come on, Sans. And Sans is like, okay, kiddo. And Char's like, okay. And so basically, Sans is like, Papyrus, you remember the plan, right? And Papyrus is like, how could I not remember the plan? You've drilled it in for like the past like 3 years. And then all of a sudden, boom! Freaking Spear of Justice in the background. In fact, uh, uh, you know, even though you guys might not be able to hear it, I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play it. It's like, Sans Papyrus! It's just like, Papyrus is just like, I'm dying. And Sans is like, whoa, 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 like, what's going on? And freaking Undyne's just like, you know very well what's going on. There's another human in the underground. And this one isn't protected by the queen, so, former queen, but so, uh, I have full reign in to take care of the problem. All rights reserved from the word of the king. I can do exactly what I've been wanting to do for a long time. Everyone will be free. I really don't understand why you've been keeping them here as a secret. What's your deal? I thought you hated humans too, Sans. And Sans and Ons is just like, uh, duh. And Papyrus is just like, Undyne, I cannot let you go any further. And Undyne is just like, perhaps you don't want to start this fight. And Papyrus is like, maybe I do, Undyne. Like, choo, bones. Like, and Undyne is like, was like, just like deflecting them all with a spear. And like, Chara has like the door like cracked open a little bit, like just to look to see what's going on. And then she just sees Undyne bring down the spear because she saw the bone attack coming. But she missed the bone attack and instead hit Papyrus straight in the skull. And Sans is like, Papyrus! That's it! Are you ready to have a bad time? I was like, what? And Chara's like, what the? No, Pap! Uncle Papyrus! And so, against basically what Sans was trying to tell them, you know, They just go out and they're like, I won't let you hurt my uncle Papyrus anymore. And Undyne is just like, huh? Uncle? What the hell? And Sansa's like, what would I just say like a few seconds ago, kid? Chara? And Undyne is like, you even named it? I better hope I'm wrong. And that was just like something on a tag or that you found and you just called them by that. But even then, I think that's too good for them. The humans are the ones that trapped us down here. And Sans is just like, so? What if they did? Maybe, if you just had some confidence in them for once, maybe a human could free us. You ever think of that, Undyne? Without having to kill them? And Undyne is like, I don't know why you're singing such a different tune than from before. Maybe it was something to do with Gaster. Well, that doesn't even matter because now you got me hurt. And you won't like me whenever I'm hurt. I will show you what happens. I will show you that monsters have determination too. We can be just as determined as humans. I will show you just how determined a monster can be. Even if I have to use my ultimate power. And she just goes undying form. Now, now Sans, get out of the way. And Sans is like, no way in hell. And he just turns one of his eyes blue, like glowing blue eye. And so yeah, they're both going full fighting force on this. And Chara's just looking at this and it's like, but, but Dad, you only have 1 HP. And Undyne is just like, what did she just call you? That thing? What did that thing just call you, Sans? I knew it! It was too good to be true. After what happened to Gaster, whatever happened to him, you've betrayed us! For the humans! No less! And it's just like, shh. And it's just like, I'm gonna make you pay for this! And it's just like, and Sans is just like, I hate having to do this to you, Undyne, but I see you've already done it to me in a way. He's just looking at his soul and it's green. Well, looks like you're blue now, Undyne. Bluer than usual. And Undyne is just like, what? And Sans is just like, you don't want to make me angry, Undyne. So step away from the kid. Step away from Chara and never come back here. Or do you want to have a bad time? Because if you do, I can provide. And Undyne is like, who do you think you are, Sans? You think you're above the consequences too? Like those other humans? And Sans is just like, you have no idea the suffering I go through. You mentioning Gaster? Now, what you're trying to do with the one kid, the one child that's still alive, besides the one being protected by the Queen, this child could be that, the very human that can help us rather than hurt us. I can see what you fail to see, but if you're willing to be so stubborn, then so be it. It's a beautiful day outside. Birds are singing, flowers are blooming. On days like this, I really don't feel I need to explain anymore. Now, just get dunked on, Undyne. And Undyne is like, for some reason, she can just hear ringing in her head. You feel your sins crawling up your back. No matter how determined you are, they still crawl up your back. And Undyne is like, ah! And then she just hears one last thing. No matter for what reason, they still crawl up your back. Good or bad, whatever reason, they still crawl up your back. No amount of determination can hide your sins. Ah! Sans, who do you think you are? And Sans is like, nobody much. By the way, you might want to watch out for that. It's like, and it's just like, get dunked on. It's like, Undyne is like, what the shit? Never shown this much effort before. Why? Why to protect this human, though? Ugh, even my most powerful form, it is nothing compared to what he's showing. All of my attacks, they aren't doing anything. And Sans like, yeah, that's mostly because I can teleport. Now, let's end this, shall we? You have one last chance. Leave or get dumped on. And he just like spawns bones like and it's like I take that as a no. And it's like and then he just summons some gaster blasts just like and just like so uh, are we good and you know straightened out about that? The kid isn't leaving anytime soon, and you ain't gonna do anything about that. Is that clear, Captain? Or do I need to give you another bad time? And Undyne's like, I just want to know why. And Sans is like, what do you mean? And Undyne's just like, I want to know why you're so insistent that this human not only deserves to live, but can help us in a way that doesn't involve them their soul be given to King. The only reason I didn't go after that other kid's soul is because the former queen is protecting that part of the underground and that child. And I'm not someone who wants to tango with the queen, if you know what I mean. I'm not stupid. I know she would never even let me in the ruins to begin with if she knew about the fact that I was after souls, you know, for permission from the king himself, her former husband. And, just sounds as like the kid. They have good inside of them. They're not like the ones that we fought in the war, or that other monsters had fought in the war as well. This human, I even starting to think they might have known the human that Toriel's trying to protect. Chara, does something about another human ring any bells to you? And Chara's like, well, there was another human. Yeah, I know that. And I know that, well, this Gaster person you keep on talking about, I think I might know who he is. And if what I think is right, then I believe there was one time where he was going to do something horrible, and Frisk was afraid that they were going to be the first one. I mean, the other human, was afraid that they were going to be the first one to be experimented on again with the same thing. So, whenever I saw them cowering in fear of the one I believe you're calling Gaster, it's the same guy, I I rushed over to protect them, arms out like this, with a determined look on my face, or at least as determined as I could be, without completely reacting to several serums that we had been injected with. And Undyne's just like, but that's just to other humans. What about any kindness shown to monsters, human? And Sense is like, they don't need to prove anything else to you. Just the fact that they were able to exhibit kindness at all should be enough. And Chara's like, no Sense, it's not enough. Well, you do know I called Pap, Uncle Pap, and Son's dad, right? You heard that, right? Miss Undyne, Captain of the Royal Guard, if I remember correctly from all that Dad and Uncle Pap have told me, meaning to or not, I still have heard. All of the monsters in the underground really love what you do. As the captain of the Royal Guard, you have gathered a lot of respect and love and kindness, and just overall, people really, really like you guys, especially you on time. And well, Dad and Uncle Pap, Dad's the reason why I'm not dead. And Uncle Pap, I'm sure that if Dad hadn't found a good reason, a good way to say everything, like give his reasonings why he did what he did, Uncle Pap surely would have reported me to you in a heartbeat, considering that he said, that Dad said that Uncle Pap is apparently friends with you. And Undyne's just like, wait, what? That still isn't clear, like, that's just Sans being friendly to you. When have you ever been friendly to a monster, kid? And Sand is like ready to go on Megalovania on Undyne again. And this time she's even like knocked out of her Undying form, so this would probably kill her. Like with all the humans she's killed, like that would gather up a lot of LV, and so the karmic retribution alone would probably just crush her. Like the KR poisoning, like alone would probably just kill her instantly at this point. And Undyne's just like, when have you ever been kind to a monster? You're not answering right away. Why do I sound like Elmer Fudd? Like Elmer Fudd trying to do an Undyne impression. Why have you ever been kind to a monster? Or have they been the only ones to be kind to you? As I expected. And Chara's like, actually, no. You're wrong. I have been kind to a monster, or several monsters before. It's just, seeing as Dad and Uncle Pep never let me go out of Snowden, they never let me get anywhere close to the entrance to the ruins, and it's even more the same than with the entrance to Waterfall. I've heard from both of them that that's where you do most of your work, if not like nearly all of it. That's also where your home is. Am I right, Miss Undyne? So, really, the only monsters I've had any chance to show kindness to were monsters that live in Snowden. So, if you want to know from a reliable source, a truly reliable source, you can ask them, Miss Undyne, Captain of the Royal Guard. And she even bows to Undyne. Like, Chara, like I said, like, I'm making Chara a girl. Like Chara, he like bows to Undyne whenever she says Miss Undyne, Captain of the Royal Guard. She's like bowing to her. And Undyne is like, she notices that this isn't like some sort of clever, like cheeky bow. This is like an actual legit respectful bow. And Undyne is just like, ask other monsters that live in this area. Hmm. Well, then I will. And about the damage to your house, Sans, Papyrus, and, wait. Is that a certificate saying that the human is part of your family? Chara Gaster? You're not serious, Sans. And Sans is like, well, both me and Pap, our last names are Gaster, and, well, we were thinking that if this whole thing was successful, we'd be able to make Chara a part of our family. And, if that was indeed successful, you know, they, being a part of our family would have our last name. So, Chara Gaster it is. And so Undyne is just like, oh, well then, Sans Gaster, Papyrus Gaster, Chara Gaster, I shall take my leave. But not without, announcing some important things. First of all, Papyrus, you have some cooking lessons coming up soon. And, mutual sparring, if you don't mind. And Papyrus is like, no, not at all, anything. He's just like, all of the whole, like, previous, like, Papyrus going up to bat against Undyne for, like, the safety of Chara. Like, all that was completely forgotten. Like, Papyrus is like, sure, cuss it, like, not cussing lessons, cooking lessons, and sparring, like, mutual sparring. Sure, like, anything for you, Miss Undyne. And Sans is just like, what about me? And, Undyne is like, well, I'll get on to that after I say something. Well, human, uh, uh, what is it that they called you again? Sans of Papyrus? I mean, like, unless you just want me to call you human. And Chara's like, they both call me Chara. Well, that and, like, you know, niece for, like, Papyrus, and, you know, like, several things for, like, Sans, like, baby girl, that's the really embarrassing one. And then there's just daughter, or stuff that a dad would probably call their daughter. And Undyne's like, oh shit, this really is serious. Like, shit. And Undyne's just finally like, and now for you, Sans, like, um, about the whole thing with your house. Um, don't worry about it. It will get resolved in due time. Just please, none of that shit again. With the blue soul thing and the giant monster head things, and, like, whatever else you were doing. Uh, don't tell Papyrus this, but that shit is scary. Especially don't tell a kid that. But that shit is scary. And also about the karmic retribution poisoning. Okay, I get that killing is still killing, but jeez, you are harsh with that shit. It's scary. I don't like it. Please, no more. And I'll fix. Like, I'll try to do my best to get the guards here to help with fixing everything up. It shouldn't be hard for them. But I have to do what I have to do, so I can't be here for too much longer. And Sans is like, oh yeah, that's reasonable. So just not, don't try to, like, die on me, Undyne. And Undyne is just like, damn it, Sans with the friggin' puns. I don't understand how the freaking human, or whatever they called themselves, like, can freaking stand you. And, like, the human just called themselves like, uh, if you forgot, or if I didn't mention, my name is Chara. Chara Gaster. It says it on the certificate. And Undyne is just like looking at the certificate, and she's just like, Chara space Gaster. No, wait, there's an H for the Gaster. Chara Gaster. So, Chara, I just never mind. I gotta go. And it would just be like, that would be their day. It would just be like the day after. That would basically just be the day after, after, like, Chara's whole, like, anniversary slash birthday. Like, you know, like, since they were two whenever Sans first found them, and it's been 3 years, It would be their fifth birthday, but it would like to Papyrus. It would also be like considered their like 3 year anniversary of being in the underground, like with them as family. So it would be like their 3 year anniversary of being in the underground for Papyrus. But both Papyrus and Sans would know that, you know, for Chara, it would be like their fifth birthday because they're 5 years old now. Basically, the whole thing with Undyne, that was like the day after, like their birthday. And yeah, that whole thing. That whole deal. Oh, Jesus. 41 freaking minutes. God. Oh, I could sure ramble on without even knowing I'm rambling on. Or just be so excited to talk about a certain topic that I forget what I'm doing. Anyways, Undyne would probably call Alphys up and be like, don't inform the king about this, but, Sands of Papyrus have a freaking human, and they're keeping it kind of like as a member of their family. And Alphys would understand, like, this is probably like some sort of coping mechanism for, like, the fact that they, no longer have their dad. Gaster is no longer around. So it's probably just like a coping mechanism or something. And then Undyne explains the whole fact that the human might have died had Sans not done what he did, and also the fact that Sans believes something about the human might possibly being like if they let it live, like possibly being the key to like them like being able to escape the underground. Undyne doesn't really understand that, but after what she had to deal with Sans and the whole Megalovania thing, like karmic retribution, yeah, she doesn't want to say anything about that to Alphys. Yeah, because Alphys and Sam's relationship after what happened with Gaster is already shady shit enough as it is. So she doesn't want to bring that shit up with Alphys and make their relationship even worse. Like the relationship in between, them even worse than it already is. Or at least that she thinks it is, like, whatever. And, well, you know, eventually the part of the guard that is basically, Snowden's part of the Royal Guard, like, Doggo, like Dogamy, Dogressa, like Lesser Dog, Greater Dog, all of them, and even like the Iceberg Dog person. Like, they basically say that they were told by Undyne to like help fix the mess that Sans and Undyne's fight created, but also not to tell Alphys about the fact that they fought, and even the fact that Undyne went to the extreme lengths that she went to, in the fight. But this would only make Chara even more interested. Like, so there are even more other areas to like the underground. Like, what's after Waterfall? And Pyrus will just accidentally blurt out like Hotland, and then after Hotland, like it's the core, and then after that, it's like New Home. Basically, he would blurt all of that out, and then just be like, "Shit," and he would kind of like semi blurt out the fact that sometimes there's like a hallway that has a mysterious door that appears in Waterfall, but sometimes that's not the case. Like it it's weird. Like sometimes it's there, sometimes it isn't there. And Chara finds that very intriguing. It's like, oh, so there's some mysterious shady shit. I'm like, damn. Damn, boy. Damn. It's just like Sans just like, well, thanks, Pap. Now they're definitely wanna go exploring. And considering the fact that Alpha's made a killer freaking robot, like a human killing machine, uh, I would hate to see the outcome of that. Like, what if one of us isn't able to get there in time? And Papyrus is like, what about you and all your shortcuts? And plus, what you showed off there, you'd probably be able to take down the like human killing machine like with no problem. And Sans is like, yeah, but I'm not used to doing that. Perhaps I'm just really taxed, you know? I kinda and he's just like and Chara's just like, well, that's that, I guess. And she just goes to her room and Papyrus is like, well, I guess. Just picks up Sans and takes him to his room and plops him on his mattress bed thing. And then, he closes the door behind him and he goes to his room and, just everybody's going to sleep. But you see now here, Chara can't sleep for some reason. Chara really wants to explore more of the underground. And so she's just like, what to do, what to do. And so over the past like few like let's say around the time that they're 8, they've explored pretty much most of the underground. New Home is the only place that they haven't explored. New Home is where Asgore is. Like they've even seen the core, but Sans absolutely refuses. Like he will actually take shifts with Papyrus just to make sure they don't enter New Home. Because he's like actually bribed Alphys into like not letting like the kid get killed. Like bribed her, like literally bribed the freaking like kawaii dinosaur lady, and even went so far as to possibly actually bribing Metaton. Like he is like that worried about Chara's safety if she were to actually find their way into New Home. But kids will be kids. That whole saying. I don't care if it's correct or not, but that's how they are sometimes. And so eventually, like around the age of like 8.5, 8.25, I don't know, they're just like, huh, I'm really just like they're just exploring around, and they just so happen to find themselves in the middle of the core, and they also just so happen to hear something that sounds like a monster. And the monster that they find just so happens to be wearing a heart locket and also hanging out with a human, the other human, the one that is now named Frisk. And Frisk is like freaking Azrael, what are you doing? Like, we're not supposed to venture out far from home. Like, really, like, Dad could be like really worried. Actually, no, like, their home is like the ruins. Like shit, like what the frick? Like what kind of drugs am I on? Like the Frisk and Azrael would still be there. Like Frisk would still be worried as hell. Like whenever they find Azrael, it's like, what the frick are you doing, Azrael? You're like so far away from like our actual home. You know how much Mama's going to freak out whenever eventually have to tell them how far you went out this time? Like Before it was like close to the end of Waterfall. Now you've made it all the way to like the middle of the freaking core. Like, what the shit, Azrael? You could have really hurt yourself. And Azrael's really just like, I'm the monster here. Like, hey, I'm the monster here. You're the human. I should be saying that to you. And, just Chara is just like, hi, my name is Chara. What's yours? And she's saying that to Azrael because she already kind of, like, heard, like, so it's basically like they all end up, like, introducing themselves, sort of. And it's just like, Frisk is like, me and Azrael live over in the ruins. You know, we're not supposed to go over to New Home. Like, that's what Mom said. And, Azrael, you're always on about, being, obedient to Mom, doing what she says. But you're the one over here, like, trying to explore. And Azrael's like, yeah, but a little bit of exploring never hurt anyone, right? And, Chara is just the one here, like, being like, well, mm, me too. I've never really seen this place called New Home. Or at least that's what you've been calling it. Like everybody calls it New Home. It's probably going to be a cool place to explore. And Frisk is like, oh, no, 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 you do not want to go there. Trust me, you do not want to go there. And, like, Charlie, basically, like, Azrael is just like, yeah, we can both go there. Like with the three of us, any threat that could possibly be there, and Dad would never threaten us, right? Even if Mom and Dad don't really agree on certain things, and that's possibly the reason why they don't really live in the same house anymore. Like, Dad would never hurt us, and if there's any monster that tries to hurt us, like, there's three of us, and whatever. It's just, we have better odds now. Even better odds than before. And Frisk is just like, damn it, why did they have to get themselves involved in this? Now I'm never gonna get Azrael to not, disobey freaking Toriel. He's always on and on about, me obeying her, but, he just has to be Mr. Adventurer now. What happened to the crybaby I used to know? Oh, yeah, that's right. Just as soon as he got agged on for being a crybaby, he started wanting to toughen up. And then now he's this. And so they all eventually end up going to New Home. And like Sans and Papyrus, but mostly Sans, like, are just like calling away, but there's like no signal because of how far away like New Home is from Snowden. And well, yeah, it's just like Sans is panicking, and Papyrus is just like trying to calm Sans down, but also kind of panicking inside himself, a little, but not nearly as much as Sans. And so he's kind of really overexerting himself. And so it's just like, they're just like, Asgore is just like in the garden, and he's just like, num needum needum. Oh, uh, humans? And, wait, is that Azrael? And you've brought the human that Toriel is protecting. And another human? Is she protecting another human? And Azrael's like, we don't really know who this human is, like, all that well. Even as much as they've been talking, rambling on. And Char is just like, you shut your damn mouth. And, like, so just like, Asgore's just like, Well, they seem to be a very odd type of human. Even whenever they're angry, they seem to have, like, passion within their words. And their soul seems to have a tint of a special type of magic. Only whenever someone has been blue souled? Wait, that type of magic can only be used by skeletons. Have you been living with skeletons, child? And like, sure, like the freaking like Chara is just like, like she is like she's like zip, like ain't saying anything. And Sazgor's like, I was afraid it was going to have to come to this. And Azrael's like, no, 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 please, Dad, you don't have to do this. And Frisk is even like, oh shit, like, he's going to kill them. He is going to destroy them. And like, whenever Asgore comes out, he's no longer in his, like, traditional clothes. He's, like, in his, like, garb whenever you fight him, like, in Undertale. And he even has the trident, and he's like, you being difficult, human, has given you this fate. The fate of death. I was willing to be merciful, but then I remembered my duty to my people. I wonder why Undyne didn't kill you, or how they weren't able to kill you. But I will not make the same mistake. I will finally free us all. All monsters shall be free. And Char like ends up perking up like at this like. But what about the human? What about Frisk? What about their freedom? And Asgore's like, are you trying to challenge my resolve, human child? That will not work so easily. And Chara's like, oh yeah? Really? Well, hmm, Chara, think of something or else you're gonna get killed. There's only one thing I can think of right now, and it's just how much I want this to end. I don't want to hurt this guy, but I don't want to hurt him. He's only trying to help his people. And Sans thought that if I was down here, that I could help his people. How do I fix this without using violence? And then Asgore just does the thing where he breaks the mercy button, and Chara's like, there is no fixing anything without using some level of violence. That is what the humans have taught me. They have taken far too many things away from me by now for me to have mercy on any human. So be it. I will create revolution within our freedom. And Chara's just like, revolution? No. And Asgore's like, what do you mean? And Chara's just like, I said no! And it's just like, she like creates magic red soul knives. Like, not regular knives, magic red soul knives. And she's just like, I will not let you do this! There will be no revolution! There will only be freedom by peace! And if that means that I have to destroy you because of your thoughts of revolution, because of the souls of humans dying out, if you wish to kill us in order to gain freedom, I will make you learn the hard way before you die. that is not the only way. Because you won't die by my hands. I will defeat you, but I will not kill you. Is that understood, Asgore, Dreamer? And Azrael was like, huh? Defeat Dad without killing him? This human is weird. And wait, they created those knives with magic. And it's red magic. It's unlike anything I've ever seen before. And it's just like, now, let's end this. Like, shoo, shoo. And it's just like a big fight. And whenever Sansa and Papyrus eventually get to New Home, along with Undyne and Alphys, like what they see is basically Asgore, like, and Chara. And Chara's basically just like, now do you see your revolution? It will not bring peace. It will only bring more war. I hope what you've just felt today proven that you've seen the error of your ways. I've defeated you without having to kill you. Isn't that proof enough that we don't have to do this? Let these souls, these 6 souls, rest in peace. Let them have, let them have peace. Please, I beg of you, Asgore Dreamer. I beg of you, please be merciful. And Asgore is like, you beg for mercy, even though you are clearly a human. And Chara's like, no, you're wrong. I don't beg for mercy on my behalf. I beg for mercy on the behalf of the souls, the humans, the innocent humans that you and your guard had killed. Innocent humans that had fallen down. It was not your place to decide their fate, yet you did it anyways. Do you not see how wrong that is? How much pain and suffering would just be adding on to if you gained 7 souls and you went to the surface? You would be a god, but what about your subjects, those beneath you? And how long do you think your godhood would last? And whenever it vanished, what do you think the humans would do to you? After all, I had heard before that it takes the entirety of the underground monsters to equal the power of just one human soul. So what do you think they would do if they knew about that? I I may not be able to ensure it, but I I do have some belief that maybe if you let these souls have peace after so long of being contained, if you let them have peace, then there might be just even the smallest opportunity you could be forgiven by the humans. And Asgore's like, but how would we get to the humans if we don't have 7 souls? And Chara's just like, Asgore, you know very well that all you need is 2 strong souls, one from each race. A human soul that is very strong, and a monster soul that is very strong. those two fused together, they can pass the barrier and possibly even break it. If all of the souls of each and every monster in the underground work together in harmony to empower that already fused soul, the possibility of being able to break the barrier would escalate immensely. And Asgore's like, damn it, right. I've only been doing this seven human soul thing because of my anger. My anger. The visions I was getting from Dr. Gaster. The magic. He had a magic. Just didn't have regular skeleton magic. He was a boss monster with magic that allowed him to give me visions. Visions that allowed me to see that if I didn't do something soon, that lives, the life of someone I cared about deeply, that would die. Azrael, you would ally yourself with a human, and you and that human would come up with a plan to escape the barrier and free everyone. But you would end up dying, and the entire plan would be forfeit. It would just be another instance of human savagery. And so I became enraged, and whenever I declared I was going to kill whichever human, or I was going to have the guard kill whichever human came in here next, all of future humans, that we only need 7 souls, so the next 7 humans that came down, we would kill them all. With the exception of this Frisk child, seeing as they were taken in by my ex-wife and the former queen, Toriel. And so basically, Azrael's like, wait, you did all of, you said all of that because of visions this Gaster, royal scientist, was telling you about? And Asgore's like, yes, I trusted him. After all, we were indeed great friends. So whenever he told me that, I believed him, and my believing in his words cost me so much that I went into a crazed rage that only evolved in the death of 7 humans, and me becoming a god so we could finally destroy the barrier and be free. I had never once thought to see the errors, the chips, and the armor of not only Gaster's vision, but my plan of how to fix this before it was all broken. What you say is true. And basically Chara's like, my name is Chara. And Asgore's like, if what you say is true, Chara, then show me it. And Chara's just like, well, pronto. You said that it was because of Gaster. Gaster giving you those visions that you went on your crazed little murder spree? Well, there seems to be pieces of him strewn out across the universe. All universes. If we're able to find those pieces, eventually, we'd have the power of a boss monster's soul and the power of a very strong, very determined human soul in my soul. After all, like, basically, basically, like, Chara is basically volunteering to help, like, basically, like, Chara's like, I'll do it, and I'll find all the pieces of Gaster, since he's a boss monster, and, like, a really strong one at that. Plus, this would kind of be like revenge for him, like the visions that caused the whole thing with you breaking up with Toriel because of what you decided to do because of the visions that you were seeing. And Toriel is actually looking for Frisk, and so she's hearing and seeing all of this because eventually she got the new home. And whenever she sees and hears all this, she's like, "I would like to mm, help if there's any way I can." And basically, like Sans and Papyrus are like, the thing you're thinking about is crazy, but, you know, if it's a way in which no one else has to die, like, basically all of the monsters, like, more and more monsters start to get in, like, the idea of, like, yeah, no one else does need to die. Like, if we just start like killing off humans like has been like happening, like we're no better than them. Like so a plan that doesn't evolve any more humans having to die, like anyone, not just humans, not just monsters, no one else having to die, a plan that involves that is a much better plan than the last plan. And Asgore actually, he actually finds himself agreeing with Chara. And, Asriel is all for this because, even being the adventurous spirit that he eventually came to be, he's all for this as well. And eventually, everyone just is all for the plan. And so, more and more people just end up volunteering to try and help find the missing pieces of Gaster to, like, or more or less the missing pieces of his soul specifically, not the missing pieces of gas, or just the missing pieces of his soul, because that's really the only thing that they need. And get like freaking Asgore says, like he promises to Chara specifically that whenever this is done, like whenever Gaster's soul is presented, and Chara is there, whenever like the plan is like fully set in motion, that is whenever he will set the human souls free to be at peace. Because, then like there will be a plan, and like he won't just have given up on his first plan for like the second plan to just be a piece of shit. He wants to make sure that he's not just following some stupid like 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 some sort of like stupid shit. And eventually, like the pieces of Gaster's soul, like strewn out as they are kind of confined to like the reality of like the AU where they're in. So they're still like not too hard to find. You just gotta do some messing around in the code, which Sans is very good at. And so, he helps people with, like finding their way through the code. And eventually, with all the help that they can get, they eventually find the pieces of Gaster's soul. And with Althea's technology, they're able to help stabilize it enough to where it will be able to be, like, connected enough, like, for long enough for the plan to work. And like Chara is just right there, and she's basically got to like freaking like she's just looking at the soul, and she's just like, this is the soul of the guy who's put her and Frisk through so much hell for so long that Chara can't even remember. She knows it was at least 2 years of hell for them. So, yeah, Tara's just like, but she has to absorb it. And absorb it she does. And eventually, she's like, and like, you start hearing some sounds like of shattering. It's like, sounds like a big echo of shattering, like a sound of shattering glass. Like a big echo of that sound. And the reason why that is because with the powerful boss monster soul of Gaster and the powerful determined soul of Chara with all the determination they have, you know, they were actually able to do it. You know, in truth, you only needed a human soul that was determined enough and a monster soul that was like, you know, basically only needed like a human soul and a monster soul together, and that's all you needed. But Asgore's whole thing about the whole 7 human souls was just because he was really freaking pissed. And like Asgore's like, I understand if you can't forgive me, Tori. And I know you're probably gonna be like, don't Tori me or whatever. But yes, I understand if you're angry with me. And Toriel's just like, yes, but I also do indeed understand why. And Asgore's like, wait, what? Gaster is why. I never got around to telling you because I myself wanted to believe that Gaster could be trusted. But because of that, you trusted him, and because of you trusting him, you did what you did. It is indeed my fault that you followed the path that you did, the path that I was so disgusted that you followed, even though it was my fault. So, truly, both of us are in the wrong. So, you can Tory me all you want. Just, never mind. You can Tory me all you want, Gory. And Asgore is just like, you wanted to believe in him too. And so, yeah, basically it's figured out they're both in the wrong. They both basically jumped the shark whenever it came to trusting Gaster. A little bit too much, if at all. And so it doesn't take nearly as long for them to get back together. And Azrael and Frisk are just perfectly fine with that. And when Azrael and Frisk like come around and like eventually like visit Chara, and they're just like basically Frisk asked because they they're both humans, and like since we're both humans, like like a humans stick with humans, like would you and me like to be like stay together again? And like Chara is just like, actually no, my place is with my dad and my uncle, not with anyone else. I'm sorry about that, Frisk. I'm sorry if it makes you feel bad, but I just wouldn't feel the same. I hope you can understand. And Frisk is like, well, at least I'll have Azrael and mom and dad. And Chara's like, yeah, look on the bright side of things. You have a mom and dad, and you have a brother. See? There's nothing to be sad about. Besides, we're free. That's even less reason to be sad about anything. We're free. We can go to the surface, and considering, you know, the fact that the plan actually worked, where's the button, switch, whatever it is? And basically they find it and it's like, click, and then the containers are all opened, and like the souls, they just shoot out in different directions. Seeing as the plan worked, no more need for the souls to be trapped. They are now free. And before the souls like split out completely, like the souls, they're like, thank you to everyone, because everyone put in the work for this to actually work. All the monsters of the underground, like, they knew that if this was going to work, the only way it was going to work is like if everyone put in work for this, because of how shattered Gaster's soul probably was. And so, like, the souls, before they leave, they're just like, thank you, everyone. Like, they're even saying thank you to the people that were actually responsible for the fact that they were in that, like, those, like, canister things. And so basically, it's just like, but the souls really just don't actually go out into the human world. They actually go all the way into the room where the caskets are, like all of the different dead humans, and they float into the caskets, and out come the humans that were murdered. Like, they were literally brought back to life because the souls, the different souls, they knew where to find the caskets. And so basically, yeah, like the humans that were killed, they're all back to life, and they're just like, thank you, and then they leave. And Undyne's like, something about this, King, something about this feels good. It really does feel like we did the right thing. And Asgore's like, yes, indeed it does. Can't believe my judgment was so clouded for so many years. And I can't actually believe Toriel forgave me. And Alphys is just like, yeah, well, Undyne, I have to say something. And Undyne's like, well, I have to say something too. It's like, they eventually confess that they like each other, like, a lot. And Metaton is just like, oh my, romance. Hope it isn't a bad romance, if you know what I mean. And it's just about to go DJ. And Naps the book is like, no, it's my turn. And Shiren is actually like, no, it's actually our turn. And so basically, Pyrus and Sans are just looking out and they see the sun. Like, Paps doesn't really know what it is. And Sans is like, Pap, that's the sun. And Chara's like, the sun. You hear that, Frisk? That's the sun. Like, pointing to it. That's the sun. And, Azra's like, what are you two doing? Come on. You don't want us to be beaten by Monster Kid. They're already gone. Like, you don't want us to be beaten by MK. They've already gone, like, long before now. And Undyne's like, wait, what? That little kid, they're gonna get themselves in trouble. And Frisk already ends up deciding, like, it would be better for Papyrus to not be the ambassador of the humans. So it's just like, it's like Frisk decides to be the ambassador for the humans. And, all's well that ends well. Even for lazy bones like Sans. Sans, Papyrus, Chara, they, they eventually get to living in the surface. They just all go to the surface, and eventually they do, sort of assert themselves in the surface. And, a deal is signed in between the royalty of the, monsters and the royalty of, like, the humans. And they're pretty much allowed because of the fact that Asgore didn't forget to mention the fact that he, switched plans whenever he realized the errors of his ways. And whenever, like, the royalty of the humans hears this, like, so wait, you mean. And then, like, all the children, like, that were previously the human souls, they just all go up and they're just like, yeah, we can vouch for that too. And it's like, if the children are even vouching for, like, the monsters, like, and they were inside those canisters for so long, and yet they're still vouching for them to, like, be equal as us, like, equal, like, citizenship, equal rights, and everything. Like, sure. Like, and Asgore's like, wait, what? And, like, King is just like, sure. And they just, like, shake on it. Asgore being, like, surprised, and even Tori's surprised. Like, Toriel. It's just, like, they didn't think it was going to be like this. But, whenever it's just, whenever it's just a big ass U-turn in the middle of things, and, such a successful U-turn, like, you know, besides, there weren't that many people who knew Gastrol that well that liked him all that much. So, using his soul, like combination of his soul and, like Chara's soul, but Chara is still alive. Like the only soul that fell apart was Gastra's soul because even though he was a boss monster, it took all of his soul's energy to like successfully keep that thing broken. The barrier, magical barrier. And that is, I believe, where I'm going to end part two of SNOWSET off. Yes, SNOWSET part two. On the Anadosis because the Dark Shadow Memory is OUT out. You boys. Bye.